Hi guys, it's Paula and I hope you are doing well. This is going to be part 4 of my makeup inventory. In this video, we will be covering all of my palettes, starting at 6-pan palettes, going all the way up to my 100-pan palette. This entire video is all about eyeshadow. There's not going to be a lot of change compared to last year's inventory video for these categories. But if you've never seen my eyeshadow inventory before, or if it's been a year and you're curious to see what it's looking like once again, here it is. I could pretty much have just used the same exact video and reposted it and saved myself a lot of time because only 2 categories changed and the rest have stayed the same. I guess that's a good thing though, right? Because before the categories were going up, they were never going down. So the fact that they've stayed the same does speak to the progress I've made with controlling my makeup buying. I was curious to see what I was talking about in my videos last year, so I checked them out this morning and I realized that in those videos I went quite a bit more in depth with each palette and each piece of makeup. So if you're looking for more specifics, or if you want to see what the palette looks like on the inside, I will direct you to my makeup inventory from 2019 because I did spend quite a bit more time talking about each individual palette in last year's video. This year, I'm really just giving an overview of the palettes, the amount of pans they have, whether I worked on them or not, and whether anything new came in. I do hope you enjoy watching. Let's get to why you're here and talk about the eyeshadow. Okay, here are my 6-pan palettes. I had 21 last year and I have 22 this year. This category did go up by 1. That is because of that Tetris and Ipsy palette right there that was gifted to me by my friend Callie. She sent it my way just in the last month and a half or so. So thank you, Callie. I love my 6-pan palettes. These are all really great palettes. The only 2 that I worked on within the last year are the e.l.f. palette right there, the e.l.f. Aqua Beauty palette, and this purple Pat McGrath palette. Both of those palettes are in my pan in every palette project where I'm just trying to hit pan on one eyeshadow in the palette. Those 2 palettes are going to stay in that project until I hit pan on them, and then they will roll out. Other than that, I don't have plans for any of these to be in a project for 2020. Once I hit pan in one of my palettes in that project, I might roll in the Skinny Dip palette right there from Jouer. I would love to play with that palette a bit more, and I think it would be fun. So I'm thinking about rolling that palette into pan in every palette next. So right now we're at 22 for 6-pan palettes. Okay, here are my 7-pan palettes. Same 3 from last year. I did not buy any. I did not use any up. I did not work on any of these last year. I would love to work on these, especially the Too Faced one and the Marc Jacobs one. That would be great. Maybe they would make good palettes for Pan That Palette 2021. We'll see. But yes, I'm still at 3. Okay, these are all of my 8-pan palettes. I had 18 last year. I have 18 this year. There's been no change. None of these were in projects last year, and none will be in projects this year, at least as of right now. The Missy Lynn palette right there is technically a face and eyeshadow palette, but the face colors are too dark for my skin, and the only way I would ever use them is as eyeshadows, so I include that palette in my 8-pan eyeshadow palette category instead of in my eyeshadow and face palette category, which is still coming. My phone is totally freaking out right now trying to figure out which face to focus on. All right, this is my 9-pan palette collection. I had 27 last year and I have 27 this year. Nothing has changed. Nothing has gone up, nothing has gone down. I didn't really work on any of these last year. No, I did not use any of these last year. Some of these are still untouched. Juvia's Place is another brand that I basically had to cut myself off of. I was finding myself in that collector mode, wanting one of everything. I do really enjoy Juvia's Place eyeshadows. I would recommend them to anybody, but I have a lifetime supply of Juvia's Place already and I couldn't keep up. So we are still at 27. Here are all of my 10 pan palettes. I had 16 at inventory time last year and I'm up to 17 now. The new one, of course, is my Dose of Colors Friendcation palette. I cashed in 20 points from my low buy bank just to buy that. And none of these were in a project last year. And right now I don't have plans for any of these to be in a project for 2020. Okay, here are my 11 pan palettes. I had 3 last year. I have 3 again this year. I like all of these very much. I did not work on any of these in 2019, and as of right now, I don't have plans to work on them in 2020. 11 is kind of an odd number for a palette, but I have 3 11 pan palettes. Okay, here are my collection of Naked palettes, and I had 6 last year. I have 6 this year. The reason that is profoundly significant is that they released a new palette in 2019 and I did not buy it, or at least I haven't bought it yet. That's the Naked Honey palette. For somebody like me who has long had a strong urge to complete sets of makeup, I think this shows a step in the right direction. It wasn't easy, but I'm glad that this did not go up by 1. Especially since I haven't used the Naked Cherry palette even once since I bought it. It was really hard to justify buying the Naked Honey palette. So yes, we're still at 6 for this little collection. I do always keep these separate. People seem to like this post a lot. I get a lot of likes on Instagram when I post this picture. But it's still at 6, not 7. Here is another flat lay of 12 pan palettes. There will be 3 in all. Yeah. I had 22 on this flat lay last year and I have 22 this year. There has been no new ones that came in. I did not finish any or declutter any. The only one that's currently in a project is the Element of Surprise from ColourPop, that one up at the top corner. I am trying to hit pan on 1 shade in that palette. The rest of these are not currently in any project. Oh my gosh, doesn't that holo packaging look amazing? Do you see the greens and orange? Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. Holy cow. I gave up trying to keep up with the ColourPop releases a while back. I couldn't do it. I do love my ColourPop eyeshadows, but I had to give up on trying to keep up. So we're at 22 for this flat lay. Okay, this is the last grouping of my 12 pan palettes. There are 17 here. There were 17 last year. There's been no changes. None of these were worked on in 2019. And you guessed it, as of right now, I don't have plans to work on any of these in 2020. There are several that I'd like to work with if given the opportunity. But like I said, as of right now, that's not in the cards. I don't know how many of you are keeping track, but in all, I have 45 12 pan palettes. That's a lot of eyeshadow. Here are my 13 and 14 pan palettes. I decided to lump them together because there wasn't enough of either to make separate posts. I had 6 last year and I have 6 this year. There's been absolutely no change. The fact that there's only 3 ABH palettes here also speaks to my
progress with breaking the habit of collecting the sets. I have passed on the Sultry, the Riviera, the Soft Glam, and the Norvina palette. 4 ABH palettes have been released that I have not bought since those 3 came out. And all of them could have been purchased at Ulta for free using points or gift cards. So I'm definitely trying to break old habits and bad patterns, and I think that is a sign of my progress. Out of all of those, the 2 that I want the most are the Sultry and the Soft Glam. Both are pretty nude. Oh, there's the Alyssa Edwards one too. That's right, 5 palettes. I think I've come a long way. I have 8 15-pan palettes. Here they are right here. There were some moments in 2019 where this got close to becoming 9 15-pan palettes because I was seriously craving the Natasha Denona Gold palette. In the end, I didn't buy it, but all year long, I thought I would be. And maybe if Sephora would have been offering 20% off at the VIB sale instead of 15% off, maybe I would have bought it. That was such a huge disappointment that Sephora went down to only 15% for VIB that I decided not to buy really anything. And I always bought my Natasha Denona palettes at 20% off. So yeah, we're still at 8. Nothing came in, nothing left. Here are my 16 and a few of my 18 pan palettes. I could just leave this as 16 pan only palettes, but I like to keep all of my Too Faced palettes together, and some of them are 16 pans and some of them have 18 pans. So I sneak them into this photo. There were 13 palettes here last year, and there are 13 palettes here this year. I did not work on any of these last year, and as of right now, I do not have plans to work on any of these in 2020. As far as my progress with not completing the sets, I think there's at least one more Too Faced tin that I don't have that came out last year, the gingerbread, what's it called, extra spicy palette. I also never got the white chocolate palette or the chocolate gold bar palette. Out of all those, the only one I would consider buying at this point is the gold bar palette. That one appeals to me. The other 2, not so much. I also don't have the Lorac Pro 4 palette. I passed on that one. So, baby steps. Okay, every palette you see right here has somewhere between 18 pans and 25 pans. I clumped them all together because it fit in a flat lay and it made sense. I had 10 last year. I still have 10 this year. I did not buy any new ones. I did not declutter any. Many of these have never been used even once. Solar Flare, Venus, Desert, Urban Decay, BH Cosmetics, Jeffree Star, Huda. Those 8 palettes have never been used even once on my eyes. I have used those 2. Well, I've used the Zodiac once, and I've used the Urban Decay one a few times. So if that's not a sign that I should never buy another eyeshadow palette, I don't know what is. All 8 of these palettes look amazing, and I wanted them very, 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 very badly, and yet I've never used them, so that needs to change. These are the things I tell myself over and over and over when I see a new release and I start craving that palette and getting the urge to buy it. I just remind myself of these. I go back and I look at my photos on Instagram and I count how many palettes I've never used even once, and I tell myself I just can't. The palettes you see here all have between 28 and 32 pans. I had 9 last year. I have 9 this year. None have left. No new ones have come in. The only one I'm currently working on is, oh, The only one I'm currently working on is the Natasha Denona palette right there. That's in my Pan in Every Palette project, and I am trying to hit pan on a shade in that palette. I would love to start working on that Sephora Pro palette. Maybe hit pan in one of those shadows. We'll see. Okay, the palettes you see here have between 35 and 100 pans. All of the Morphe palettes are 35 pan palettes. My little e.l.f. 100 pan palette has 100 pans. I had 6 last year. I still have 6. Nothing has changed. I did work on one of these palettes last year in my Pan in Every Palette project to hit pan on one shade in my 350M palette. So I do have one new pan this year to brag about, but otherwise I didn't really use the rest of these palettes. Okay, I've decided to keep on going. We're gonna make this video a little bit longer. What you see here is pick one of 2. These are my smaller multi-palettes. By multi-palettes, I mean palettes that have eyeshadows and face products combined. So every one of these palettes has an eyeshadow or 2 or more, and a face product like a blush, a highlighter, or a bronzer inside of them. I have 25. I had 25 last year. I did not buy any. I did not use any up. As you guys know, that Pure Go Nude palette has been with me for the last we're starting year 3 of working on that palette. I have repressed eyeshadows into that palette, adding more product. But at this point, I am done repressing eyeshadows into that palette and I want it gone. That palette consisted of 2 face products and 6 eyeshadows. One of the face products is gone, and the other face product, which is a blush, is one that I'm working on right now. Out of the 6 eyeshadow pans, 1 is gone, and the other 3 out of the 5 are currently in a project. I am going to have to find a way to work on the remaining 2 down the road so that I could hopefully move this palette out. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it this year or not, but that would be amazing to not have that palette right there in my inventory for next year. That would be great. The rest of my multi-palettes are coming up next. Okay, here are my larger multi-palettes. There are 9 here, making it a total of 34 multi-palettes. Again, I did not buy any new ones, and I did not use any up. I have hinted around and suggested for quite a while now that I would like to work on the Smashbox multi-palettes. I just think that they are so nice. Plus, these 2 right here both have an entire palette of lipstick, which is enough lipstick to probably last me a year or 2. Even if I don't pan the eye and face products in those palettes this year or next year, I really want to get to the lip palettes and start working on them because they're gonna go bad and I'd like to enjoy them. Okay, here are my eyeliners. Not all my eyeliners, just my black eyeliners. I had 48 black eyeliners and now I have 47. I did finish one in 2019. I forgot all about it, but it was the Marc Jacobs. It was a sample of the Marc Jacobs eyeliner. Love that pencil. If I can keep at this rate of finishing 1 black eyeliner a year, these will be gone in 47 years. Woohoo! Yeah. After finishing the Marc Jacobs black eyeliner, I started working on a brown eyeliner, and I've basically been working on that for the rest of 2019, so for like the last 6 or 7 months. But it is finally getting close to its end, and I've decided to put this eyeliner right here into a project pan. This is a pretty old Milani eyeliner, and it's a black with glitter. I don't think that's why I bought it. It's just a coincidence, but I would like to finish this off this year. If I do, that would be wonderful. So I am working on this one. I do often keep this liquid eyeliner from Stila in the bathroom. It's not that often that I'm doing calls for a liquid liner, but I like to have it on hand just in case, because when I do want to wear a liquid eyeliner, I don't want to have to start digging for it. But the rest of these are not in projects other than that Milani eyeliner. So yeah, I'm down to 47. Okay, here are my brown eyeliners. I have a whole section dedicated just to brown eyeliners. I had 30 last year and I have 30 this year. That little guy on the bottom is the one that I've been working on. It is definitely getting low. I'm feeling pretty confident that it'll be gone during 2020, but it's not gone yet. It has gotten a lot shorter than it looked last year. I rolled that little guy into a project for 2020 so I could keep working on it, but the rest of them are not currently in a project. Hopefully I will be able to add one in at some point this year. Okay, here are all of my other eyeliners. So I've kind of grouped them up into different categories. There's silvers and grays, purples, blues, aquas, greens, and like whites and neutral shades. These three are the three that are currently in a project. I had 41 eyeliners in this category last year and I am down to 38. I'm pretty excited about that. One I ended up decluttering because it had gone bad. One I finished, the MAC Auto de Blue one, and one was moved to my eyebrow inventory category from this category. So I am down to 38, which is still a lot, but it's better than 41. Okay, here are all of my mascaras. In previous years, I would do a separate post for mascara primers and then a post for just mascaras, but I only have one mascara primer, so I lumped it in with this one. So there's my mascara primer right there. Other than that one, I'm counting all of those products as mascara. There are 68 mascaras here, excluding the primer, and there were 73 last year, which means I finished 5 mascaras in 2019. 2 were kind of decluttered. 3, I used every last bit that I could. I am so happy to be down by 5. No new mascaras came into my collection in 2019. That makes me really happy too. I am currently working on the primer, the sample of the Benefit Roller Lash, that L'Oreal mascara, the black one, and the Maybelline Rocket. Those 4 are my mascara routine right now. The Roller Lash is definitely on its last leg, so it's going to be leaving soon. All the mascaras on the top row up until the Maybelline Lash Discovery have been opened. Everything else is unopened and has not been used at all yet. I am just super excited to be down by 5 in this category. All right, guys, that is it for part 4 of my makeup inventory. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.